December 3rd, 1883. After we entered the cavern complex, we quickly uncovered evidence that seemed to prove Dr. Gruber's claims about the antediluvian civilization. As we pressed on through the complex, we came to a room that was studded with Darkstone. As Nash shined his lantern into its murky depths, the silhouettes of all manner of hellish creatures were revealed. In the back of the chamber, there were piles of rotting bodies heaped into 3 separate piles. Around the piles, the mindless corpses of the undead meandered about the room in a haphazard manner. Suddenly, we heard the sound of flapping wings. Nash turned his light toward the sound, and the outline of flying hellbats came into view. All 3 of us braced ourselves for the fight of our lives.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight we're going to be continuing with our campaign playthrough of Shadows of Brimstone. This is episode 3 and it's entitled The Chamber. Before we begin tonight's episode, I have one correction to make, and that involves the ancient ruins advanced encounter that we had in the excavation chamber. Let's take a look at that. In the last episode, I made a mistake. The posse did this lore 6 plus test, and the card clearly says if at least one hero passed the test, they realize the greater ramifications of what they've discovered and immediately draw and play a growing dread card. Do not add it to the stack. Well, I inverted it. I did the opposite, that if one completed it, we didn't have to draw the growing dread card, but we clearly do based on the card. So we're going to draw and play this growing dread card, and that is revealed to be the Great Devourer. Beyond the threshold of sight and sound, ancient and terrible things dwell, waiting to awaken and begin the harvest of worlds. Any hero KO'd during the remainder of this adventure only rolls a single D8 on the Injury Madness table instead of the normal 2D6. All right, so that is going to be in play. And the only other correction that I had was I failed to, this is more of a tactical error on my part, it wasn't a rules error. And the mission allows the players to do searches for evidence of the Vrilia, and they would gain relic tokens if they were able to successfully find one of these relics. Well, I had the opportunity when the posse entered the boiler room, and I should have taken that opportunity to make rolls for that. So there's nothing I can do about that, but what I will do is, in the event that the posse is somehow able to win this battle, if they do survive the battle, I'm going to give each of them one attempt at finding a relic. And that's listed under one of the special rules. It says evidence of the Vrilia. While the posse is in a location with a clue icon, a hero may look for evidence of the Vrilia in place of searching. Make a combined lore and luck 6 plus test. If you gain 3 or more successes, gain a relic token for free. So if the posse somehow survives this, I will do that for each of them. All right, now on to the playthrough. Now I've studied this for very intently to see all of the different options that I'm going to have and the different burdens that our posse is going to be under. The first one, we're in a location with these steam clouds, and it says that any ranged attacks from any either launched from or into that location are going to be only going to hit on a 6 or 6 plus, and the ranged attacks cannot get critical hits, so I'm at a huge disadvantage right off the bat. To try to rectify this, I would have two options. I would have to attempt to push the posse completely into the excavation chamber and try to battle it out there. I don't care for that too much because I'm in close proximity to the hungry dead and the corpse piles, which have fear, and that's going to eventually erode my sanity. The other option would be to just stay where I am and switch to melee combat. And I do have some benefits in doing that, as particularly with the rancher Eli. He has rough skin gloves. He gets +1 to strength. Once per turn, he may re-roll 1 melee to hit roll. So that would be something in that department, and that would kind of help Gracie a little bit because she has very few ranged weapons anyway. So that's an option. The other option would be to do a fighting withdrawal and pull back into the initial entrance tile, and then I wouldn't be burdened by that steam clouds change to the ranged attack roll. So this is going to be a very difficult combat. In addition, the monsters are going to get this, it's too late. Until the end of the adventure, all enemy hits and horror hits do +1 damage, and eventually +2 damage if the hero marker is below the darkness marker. So we're just going to have to see how this goes. Another advantage for the monsters are the Hellbats. They have flight. They're going to move through other models, and they'll change targets each turn, and they're very fast. They have a movement of 12, so we're not going to be able to probably outrun them. So we'll have to probably do a fighting withdrawal if we choose that tactic. But I don't want to stay in close proximity to those hungry dead if I can help it. I wanted to use ranged attack to take care of them, and that's going to be very difficult. So we'll just have to see how this goes. The Hellbats are going to be activating first, and they're going to randomly target the heroes. And we begin the combat with the closest model of that group that's activating, and then he will select the target and try to attempt to move behind that target if possible. So the first movement is going to be conducted with this Hellbat. And we'll just have to see. We might not be able to escape, and I'll just have to fight it out in a melee attack. So we'll see what happens. Now, one thing we do have to our advantage is Gracie has 1 pack of dynamite. Now, granted, this is going to be would be a ranged attack, and she's only going to be able to be successful on a 6. So that dynamite is going to bounce around with the missed 2 hit roll, and we don't know where it's going to go. And another problem is the range of the dynamite is strength +3. Now, Gracie only has a strength of 1, so she'd be able to throw that dynamite 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if that thing explodes, it's going to affect every model in the space and adjacent to it. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. Oh, one last thing is I noticed that I think my player mat is causing me a number of cock die. It's kind of grabbing on the dice. So what I did is I installed a piece of foam board underneath my dice cup, and that should make them roll a lot better. So we're going to begin now with the first round of combat, and we're going to hold back the darkness. All right, here's the roll. And we rolled a 9, so we're safe with the depth track movement. We'll move on to activating the models in order, and we're going to begin with the Hellbats. They have an initiative of 6. All right, the models are moved in the order of the initiative and then their proximity to the targets. So in this case, this Hellbat will be the first to move. He's going to randomly target one of those heroes, and then he'll move as far behind them as possible and get into attack position. Now they have flight, Hellbats move through other models, and they're going to change targets each turn. Now for targeting purposes, I've placed the hero tokens in a bag, and I'm going to draw those as we need to determine targets. So we're going to be moving this Hellbat. He has a movement of 12, and he'll be targeting this hero. We'll draw a token, and he's going to target the Rancher. All right, so he's targeting Eli. Now, he has flight, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, and then he'll be launching the attack on Eli from the back. Now we move on to the next Hellbat, the next closest one, and that looks to be this one, and he's going to target one of the 2 remaining heroes. So we'll draw a token from there, and he's going to be targeting Gracie. So he'll be moving 1, 2, 3, 4, and he'll be targeting Gracie. All right, our next Hellbat is going to be this one, and he's going to be targeting anyone that is not targeted yet, so that's going to be Nash. So he'll move into position and target Nash. All right, next closest is this model, and all of the models now are currently targeted equally, and there's only one space, 2 spaces that remain that can be used to target another model. That would be here and here. So we'll put these tokens back into the bag, and we're going to select his next target. Okay, and he's targeting Eli. Well, he can't target Eli, so we'll have to see in the rules what happens with that. The rules just say that if the model cannot reach that target, it'll move as close as possible to it. So in that case, he would move over here. We have 2 more models left to go. We'll pick one of the next models now, and that one will target Nash. 1, 2. And he'll be targeting Nash. And finally, our last model is going to be targeting Gracie. There's no one left to target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so those are the targets for the Hellbats for this turn. I'll resolve these combats working my way from the upper left and then down as we go, and each one will target attack their target that we've already outlined. We'll begin with this Hellbat targeting Nash. Now the Hellbats have a special ability called Nightmarish. For every combat hit done by a Hellbat, the hero also takes a horror hit, and that's going to be combined with this It's Too Late, where any enemy hits and horror hits will do +1 damage. So this is going to be pretty difficult. Hellbats have a combat value of 3, and they're going to hit on a 3+. All right, here's the first attack on Nash. And they have a total of 2 hits. Now that's going to do a total, their damage is 1. So that'll be 1 damage each for those hits, plus the 1 damage for each hit for the It's Too Late card. And they also will inflict a horror hit for their Nightmarish ability. So we'll calculate that. But first, Nash is going to be able to defend. So there's 2 hits against him, so he'll be able to roll 2 dice, and he will defend with a 4+. So we'll place these 2 hits out on Nash, and then he'll make his defense roll. Nash has defended none of those. He has no grit, so we will just have to calculate out the damage. So he's going to take 1 damage for each of those, plus 1 damage for the It's Too Late, so it'll be a total of 4 damage. And then in addition, he's also going to gain a horror hit for each of those, And he would be able to defend against the horror hits as well. So we'll have to make a willpower roll for the horror hits. And he was able to defend both of those, so he won't take any horror damage, but he is going to take 4 wounds. And unfortunately, that is enough to KO Nash. That would give him a total of 7 wounds, and he currently has 7 health. So I think rather than letting Nash go down, we're going to spend our revive token, and that is going to heal him of all wounds and all sanity damage. I was hoping to save that token for later, but we'll have to use it now. All right, so that finishes this attack. The next Hellbat is going to go after Nash, and that is going to roll a total of 3 combat dice and will hit on a 3+. And it's done 2 hits to Nash. All right. Now Nash can defend. And he managed to stop both of those hits. And it says for every combat hit, the hero also takes 1 horror hit. So we would have to have Nash defend the 2 horror hits that he would be taking. That's also on a 4+. He managed to defend 1 of those, so Nash is going to take 1 sanity damage. And that's going to place him at 1 sanity damage out of a possible 10. We'll move on to the next Hellbat. Next Hellbat is here, and it's going to be attacking Eli. Here's the roll. And it did 1 hit. 1 hit. And Eli will be able to defend against the hit with 1 die. He rolled a 3, and that's a failure, so he's going to take 2 points of damage, 1 for the normal damage and 1 for the It's Too Late card. And in addition, he's going to be taking 1 horror hit, and that will also add 1 for the other horror hit. So he'll be able to defend that with 1 die, and we'll see if he can stop that. Here's the roll. He did. So he's able to stop the horror hit. So he's going to take 1 point of damage. I apologize for that. I didn't have the dice tower in frame. I have a correction. That should be 2 points of damage. The hit got through, so he'll do his 1 point of damage from the normal Hellbat and +1 for the It's Too Late card. So that means Eli is going to take 2 points of damage. He is at 2 wounds out of 14 health. And now we're going to move on to the 2 attacks against Gracie. We'll start with this Hellbat attacking Gracie. That will roll 3 dice. And they ended up getting 2 hits on Gracie. All right, so now Gracie can defend. She has a health value of 3+, so that will be helpful. Here's her defense. She managed to stop both of those hits. That's great. Now, as a part of that Hellbat attack, every combat hit also does a horror hit. So that means that Gracie would also be taking 2 horror hits, and she'll have to roll her willpower to stop those. Her willpower is a 4. She wasn't able to stop any of those, so she's going to take a total of 2 horror hits, and then also +1 damage for the It's Too Late card. She'll be taking a total of 4 horror hits. That'll move her up to a total of 6 sanity damage out of 14. And now there's one more Hellbat attack that Gracie's going to have to suffer, so we'll make the roll. And that did 1 hit. So Gracie has 1 hit against her. That's going to include a horror hit as well. She'll be able to roll 1 die for defense. She'll defend on a 3+. And she was able to do that. So she defended the horror hit. That's good. I'm sorry, the combat hit. Now she's going to roll on for willpower. And that'll be on a 4+ to stop that. She failed. So she'll take a total of 2 additional sanity damage. That'll move her up to a total of 8 of 14. That completes the Hellbat's activation. We'll move on now to Nash. All right, at the beginning of the activation, Nash can switch equipment that he has in his hands. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to switch from his carbine to his Indian hatchet, and he's going to start doing a little chopping. Now his Indian hatchet is +1 damage for combat hits, which might be good. Now Nash has his heightened senses ability, and that will allow him to reroll a single 2-hit roll or defense roll, and he can do that once per turn. And he also has a lucky charm. Once per adventure, he can prevent all damage just done to him for a single source. So I maybe should have used that before when he took that damage that caused the use of the revive token, but we didn't. So I think what Nash is going to do is I'm going to have him attack this Hungry Dead. The Hungry Dead have that fear ability, and in fact Nash is going to have to roll for that right now. He's beginning his activation in proximity to a creature with fear 1. A hero starting their activation adjacent automatically takes a horror hit. All right, so he's going to make a willpower roll to see if he can stop that. His willpower is a 4. And he was able to stop it, so that's going to actually save him a total of 2 sanity damage, because it would have been 1 + 1 for the card. All right, now Nash is going to roll for movement. If he can get a 1, he'll get a grit token. He did get a 1, so Nash will earn himself a grit token. That's great. All right, now he's going to use his Indian hatchet, and he's going to target that Hungry Dead. His combat value for melee is 2, so he'll be rolling a total of 2 dice for the attack, and it's going to be at a +1 damage. Okay, here is the roll. And he rolled no hits, so I think I'm going to have him spend his grit token, and we'll have him do a reroll on that. Oh boy. Okay, here's the roll. He rolled a 5, and that is a hit. So he's going to have a hit against the Hungry Dead, and that's going to be at +1 damage. Now the Hungry Dead, unfortunately, has a defense of 4. So here is his damage roll, +1 for the hatchet. He rolled a 5, that's turned into a 6, so he will successfully have killed the Hungry Dead and will remove the model. That's great. That's going to earn him 10 XP, and we'll add that to the community pool of XP. All right, that's going to finish Nash's turn, and we'll move on now to Gracie. And she's pretty much completely surrounded there. She would be able to move into that passage now that there's a... Well, she can't get through Nash, though. That's the problem, yeah. All right, well, she's going to roll for movement. We'll start out with that. Now, she is not in the proximity of any fear-based models, so she doesn't have to roll for that. Here's her roll for movement. She rolls a 1. Now, that's going to be her 3rd grit. She only has a maximum grit of 2, so we would have to either spend that grit for movement, or it's going to be wasted, and she can't move. There's no place for her to go to, so that grit token is just wasted. That's terrible. All right. Now, this is kind of a big decision. I can have Gracie attempt to throw that dynamite. We're going to be under that condition of it only hitting on a 6+, so that thing is probably going to bounce around. And I don't know quite what's going to happen with it. I think we're going to have to in this case. So I think Gracie is going to throw the dynamite. She has a strength of 1. Her range with the dynamite is a total of strength +3, so she can throw this dynamite 4 spaces, and I think that's what she'll do. I'm going to have her throw it 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be her target for the dynamite. We're going to make a ranged 2-hit roll, and she will only succeed on a 6. If she fails, the dynamite is going to bounce D3 times using the bouncing dynamite diagram. Okay, here is the 2-hit roll. She rolled a 1. Okay, that's a failure. I'm not going to bother re-rolling that because it's probably going to miss anyway with the conditions of those steam clouds. So we're going to have to make now 3 D8 rolls, and that dynamite will start bouncing around. It's going to move 1 space in the direction indicated on the diagram. All right, here's the first movement of the bounce. It's an 8. It's going to move to the west, so that will move 1 space west of where she intended it to be. Here's the second bounce. Rolled a 2. It'll move north 1 space. That's going to be on top of this corpse pile. And finally, it's going to roll the last time, and that's where it's going to detonate. She rolled an 8. It's going to be to the west. So that dynamite bounced all the way around, and it landed right here. And the dynamite now is going to go off, and that is going to inflict D6 wounds on the space it blows up in, plus the adjoining spaces, and that will be without defense. It will ignore defense. So we have a good chance on taking some of these things out. All right, we're going to begin with the space that it detonates, and that is where the hungry dead is. So we're going to roll a D6, and there's no defense for these models because of the dynamite. Here's the roll. It's a 1, so that creature is going to take 1 point of damage. Now Gracie has Dirty Fightin', which is going to give +1 damage. So that's actually going to inflict a total of 2 damage on that hungry dead. And that's actually enough to kill it. It has a health of 1. So we'll remove that model, and that's going to earn us another 10 XP. Now the dynamite is going to attack that hungry dead. That'll be a D6 roll. Does 2 points of damage, +1, that's 3. Hungry dead has a health of 1, so we've killed that one as well. So that's actually good, and will earn us another 10 XP. Now the dynamite is going to go after these corpse piles, and those have a health of 6. So we'll see what we can get here. Here's the first one, +1 for her Dirty Fightin'. 5 + 1 is 6. She's taken out one of the corpse piles. That is absolutely fantastic. So we'll remove that, and we're going to gain 10 + 5 XP. So that'll be a total of 15 XP for that corpse pile. And finally, the last corpse pile is adjacent, and we'll do a roll for that. Let's see what we get. +1 for Dirty Fightin'. A 1 + 1 is 2. I think I'm going to use a grit, and we're going to re-roll that. See if we can take this thing out. Here is the roll. She did it. 6 + 1 is 7, and that's sufficient to take out the other corpse pile. That is great. That'll earn us another 15 XP. Great job by Gracie with her dynamite. All right, that is going to end Gracie's activation, and we'll move on now to Eli. Eli's going to roll for movement. He rolls a 1. He has a grit token that he's going to gain, and that is this first grit token. That is great. We're getting lucky with those. Now, technically, Eli can move. He could move diagonally into the chamber, which would get him out of that steam clouds. I'm going to have to think about that, if that's worth it or not. I think he's just going to stay where he is, and he's going to use melee combat against this Hellbat in back of him. So he's going to be able to roll 2 dice. He has the ability to re-roll 1 melee 2-hit roll. That's because of his rough skin gloves. He has a melee 2-hit of 4+, so he'll be rolling 2 dice for this attack. Here's his roll. He has no hits. Well, I guess we're going to spend the grit token and re-roll. I cannot believe my dice rolling. I'm going to get 2 new dice. And we'll try it again. Here's his reroll. And that time he has 1 hit. All right, and we do have the rough skin gloves. I could have used that to reroll 1 melee 2 hit roll. Well, I guess we will do that. We'll keep that one, and we're going to reroll this die using that melee gloves, or the rough skin gloves. All right, he has 2 hits. All right, he's got 2 hits, and we'll see if we can take out that Hellbat. Here is the first one. The Hellbat has a defense of 2. Here is his roll. He rolled a 5 minus the 2 defense equals 3 hits, and that's going to kill this Hellbat. That's going to earn him 10 XP. That is great. And he's going to apply the second hit to this Hellbat, and we'll see if we can take it out. All right, here is the roll. It has a defense of 2. He rolled a 2 minus the 2, and that's 0. All right, that is going to complete Eli's turn. We'll move on now to the activation of the Hungry Dead. The Hungry Dead have a move value of 2. So this Hungry Dead is going to move into position and target either Nash or Eli. Right now Nash has 2 against him. Eli has no one on him, so I think that this Hungry Dead will target Eli. And that is the only, there's 5 other Hungry Dead that are around, and they will just simply move as close as they can. 2 movement points. As close as they can to the targets. All right, we're going to have 1 attack on Eli from the Hungry Dead. Hungry Dead has a combat value of 1, and they will be hitting on a 4+, but they're going to do 3 damage. Here is the attack. And they missed. They rolled a 3, so Eli is safe. That's going to complete the Hungry Dead, and we're going to move on now to the corpse piles. Corpse piles are immobile, but what they are going to do is spawn. At the end of each turn, roll a d6 for each corpse pile. On a 4+, place 1 new Hungry Dead adjacent to it. So we have 1 Hungry Dead, or 1 corpse pile left. So we'll roll a die. On a 4 to 6, it's going to spawn a Hungry Dead. And it did not. It rolled a 2. So that is going to complete the round. I'm actually surprised that we were able to survive this first round. So we will move back now to the top of the chart on the initiative, and we're going to be rolling for our Hold Back the Darkness. Here's the Hold Back the Darkness roll. And we rolled a 6, and we have failed. So that's going to move the darkness up 1, up to 4, and that's going to have us draw a darkness card. That card is revealed to be Wanted Men. All outlaw enemies are +2 health and +1 damage with their attacks. All enemies on the next threat card drawn gain keyword outlaw, remains in play. Well, that's not going to affect us during this combat, which is a good thing. We'll leave it out, but unless there's some type of an ambush situation that would occur, those won't be coming out at least. All right, now we'll move on now to the next activation, which is going to be the Hellbats will activate. Now, they have the flight ability, which means they change their targets each turn. And we'll begin with the models that are closest to targets. So we will start with these models here. We'll see which hero that one is going to target. And he's going to go after Gracie, so he will stay where he is and target Gracie. All right. Next model is going to target either Eli or Nash. So we'll draw a token for that, find out where he's going. He's going to go after Eli. So he'll move and target Eli. Now we have this model, and we'll see if he'll be targeting a Nash. That's the only one that isn't targeted yet, so he would remain with Nash. This one will target randomly one of the 3. So we'll put those tokens back in and redraw. And that model is targeting Eli. Well, he can't reach Eli, so he would... Yeah, that's kind of a tough thing, I guess, in this case, because of that flight ability. They can't target the model they want, but he can target another model. So I guess he would just target Nash. And then finally we have this model, and he would target one of the other two. And we'll see who that is. And that would be Nash. He can't quite get at Nash, but he could get at Gracie from the back. So I guess that's what would happen. He would move 1, 2, 3, 4, and he would target Gracie. All right, now we're going to make the attacks from the Hellbats. We'll start out with this Hellbat attacking Nash. They are going to hit on a 3+. And he rolled 1 hit. So 1 hit on Nash. Nash will be able to defend against the hit with a defense roll of 4+. And he failed that. So that means that Nash is going to take 2 points of damage from the attack. And he also has to defend against 2 points of horror hit. So we'll have to make a, actually 1 horror hit, but 2 damage. So this will be Nash's willpower against the horror hit. He didn't defend that either. So Nash is going to take a total of 2 health damage and 2 sanity damage. I'm going to save Nash's heightened senses, I think, for a reroll on the 2 hit. So right now Nash is at 2 wounds out of 7 health, 3 sanity damage out of 10 sanity. We'll move on now to the next Hellbat attack against Nash, rolling 3 dice. And they scored a total of 2 hits. So Nash will be able to defend those 2 on a 4 or greater. He was able to defend 1 of those, so we'll get rid of that. The other one's going to get through, and that's going to do a total of 1 + 1 health damage and 1 + 1 sanity damage. Now, Nash is able to defend against that horror hit that comes on with their nightmare, so he does get a roll for that, and be 1 die. He was not able to, so he will take a total of 2 horror hits and 2 regular hits, moving him up to 4 wounds out of 7 health, and a total of 5 sanity damage out of 10. And now we'll move on to the attack against Eli. Right, here is the roll. He did a total of 3 hits. So Eli's got 3 hits against him. He'll be able to defend against those 3. He was able to defend 2 of them, so 2 of those are gone. Now he's got to defend against the 3 horror hits that would occur. And he defended 1 of those. So it looks like Eli is going to take a total of 2 regular damage and 2 and 2 horror damage. So he'll be taking 2 wounds and 4 sanity damage. And I think Eli is going to use one of his fine cigars, and that's going to give him armor 3+. So he's going to use that fine cigar, and that would give him armor 3+. So that will allow him to try to stop that wound damage from coming through. So he took 2 wounds, so he'll be able to roll 2 dice. On a 3+, he'll be able to stop it. He did. So he was able to stop both of those wounds. He didn't stop the sanity damage, but he stopped the wounds. So that means that he's at 2 of 14 in his wound department and 6 of 10 in the sanity department. All right, I think he's also going to use a whiskey, and that will allow him to heal D6 sanity damage. All right, so we'll make the roll for the whiskey. See if he can get rid of some of that sanity damage. And he rolled a 5, so he's gotten rid of 5 sanity damage with the whiskey. That leaves him with 1 sanity damage out of 10. That's good. And now we'll move on to the last 2 Hellbat attacks, and both of those are directed at Gracie. Okay, we'll take care of this one first. It's going to be attacking with 3 dice. And that scored a total of 3 hits. All of those hit. She'll be able to defend those 3. She has a defense of 3+. Here is the roll. She was able to defend all 3 of those, but each of those is also going to come with, because of the Nightmarish ability, she's also going to take 1 horror hit with each of those. So she'll have to use her willpower. That's at a 4+, and she can stop those horror hits. She was able to stop 2 of those. 1 will get through, so that will be horror damage 1 + 1. She'll take 2 sanity damage. That's going to move her up to a total of 10 out of a possible 14 sanity damage. And now it's the final attack by the Hellbats on Gracie. I hope she can survive this. All right, here is their attack roll. And they scored a total of 2 hits. So Gracie will have to defend 2 hits. And in this case, 2 horror hits. Here's the defense 3+ roll. She was able to stop 1 of those. 1 will get through, and that's going to cause her a total of 2 wounds. And I'll place those out on the side so I remember that. And then now she has to defend using willpower against the 2 horror hits. She was able to stop 1 of those, so 1 of the horror hits will get through for 2 points of sanity damage. So she'll take 2 wounds and 2 sanity damage. That places Gracie with 2 wounds out of 6 health and a total of 12 sanity damage out of 14. That completes the Hellbat's activation. We'll move on to Nash. Nash will activate, and he's got to roll for movement. Now, he has to do a fear check. A hero starting their activation adjacent automatically takes 1 horror hit, so he is going to have to take that fear test. He'll use his willpower to stop it. He rolled a 5, so he's good. He won't take any sanity damage from that. Now, Nash is going to activate for movement. He rolled a 2. Okay, he has no place he can move to. So Nash is going to launch an attack with his Indian hatchet. And he'll be rolling 2 dice for the attack, and that gives him +1 damage, though, if he can get some hits. He has no grit. He'll be hitting on a 4+ for melee. Here's the roll. He was able to get 1 hit. All right. And I got to decide where we should place this hit. I think we'll try to take care of those Hellbats first. So I think he'll target the Hellbat in back of him. We'll do it that way. And we'll see if he can take this thing out. He's going to do +1 damage. The Hellbat has a defense of 2. He rolled a 4. +1 is 5. -2 is 3. Hellbat has a health of 1. And he has successfully killed the Hellbat. It's going to earn him 10 XP. And that is going to complete Nash's activation. We'll move on to Gracie the Saloon Girl. Gracie will start by rolling for movement. And she rolls a 3. All right, there's really no place for her to move. So she'll remain where she is, and she's going to launch a melee attack. And her melee is 4+. She has a combat value of 2, and she's going to get +1 to damage for dirty fighting. So she'll make the attack. She has 1 grit remaining. Here's her roll. She managed to get 1 hit, and that's a critical hit, which is very good. And I could have her re-roll this die with a grit token. I think I will. She'll spend her last grit token, and we're going to re-roll that 2-hit roll. And that's unsuccessful. She missed. All right, so the grit is gone, but she did do 1 critical hit. So she's going to do a total of a d6 worth of damage plus 1 for her dirty fighting. So she's going to definitely take out a Hellbat. There's no doubt about that. 4 plus 1 is 5. The Hellbat is gone. We're going to take this one out. Now it gives us a little bit of an avenue for movement if we choose to. That's going to earn Gracie an additional 10 XP. And now we'll move on now to Eli's activation. He is going to roll for movement. He is in proximity to a hungry dead, so he'll have to do a fear check first. He has a willpower of 4. He was unsuccessful with that, so he's going to take a total of 1 horror hit plus 1 horror hit damage, so that'll be a total of 2 sanity damage. That'll move him up to 3 of 10. Now he's going to launch his melee attack. He has a combat of 2. He does have a reroll available with his rough skin gloves. Okay, here is the roll. He has 1 success. All right. And he's going to use that rough skin gloves to reroll 1 melee to hit. So we'll do that. That's a free one. He's unsuccessful. So he has 1 hit, and we'll see what we can do with that. I think he's going to apply that to the Hellbat. Okay, here's the roll. He rolled a 6. The Hellbat has a defense of 2. That's a total of 4 hits get through, and he successfully killed the Hellbat. That is great. It's going to earn him an additional 10 XP. All right, that is going to complete Eli's activation. We'll move on now to the Hungry Dead, and they are going to move, and the only one they can target is Eli, so this one is going to move forward, and Eli has 1 targeting him already, and Nash has 1 targeting him, so I guess he would have to decide which of those 2. We'll have to draw a chit and find out which that one would be targeting. Okay, here is the draw. And he's going to target Eli. All right. So that one is targeting Eli. And this one is also targeting Eli. All right. Hungry Dead have a combat attack of 1 with 3 damage. So here's the attack on Eli. And that they will hit on a 4+. He missed. That's good. Here's the second attack on Eli. That one hit. All right, that's going to do a total of 3 damage to Eli. He can defend against that. And he'll make a defense roll of 4+. He failed that, so 3 wounds are going to get through. Now, he's still using his fine cigar. I guess that ended at the turn. He's going to use another fine cigar, and that's going to give him a temporary +3 armor. So he'll be able to defend those 3 wounds that he's taking. Here's the roll. Whoops. And he's defended all 3 of those. His armor value would be temporarily at 3+. So he's defended all of the wounds. That's good. All right, now we will move on now to, well, actually the Hungry Dead would move as close as they can. So I guess this one would move over to here. All right, that ends the Hungry Dead. Now the corpse piles will activate. There's 1 left, and that's going to make a roll on a 4 to 6. It's going to spawn a new Hungry Dead. And it did. So the roll is a 6. A new Hungry Dead will spawn adjacent to the pile. That's going to complete the round, and we'll reset for a Holding Back the Darkness roll. All right, we're going to make our Hold Back the Darkness roll. I can tell you this is very complex. You have to pay very close attention when you've got this many modifiers. If it wasn't for this Growing Dread card that came active, it would be a lot easier to run the combat, but with it adding a damage to that, and also with the Hellbats with their Nightmarish ability adding an additional horror hit, it really makes it complex. So I hope I didn't make any errors. I will check as I'm doing the post-editing, and I'll post anything if I did. All right, we're going to make our Hold Back the Darkness roll. And we rolled a 3, so we failed, and that's going to move the darkness up to 5. All right, now we are going to activate in order, starting with the Hellbats. Now those Hellbats have flight, so they're going to retarget each round. We'll begin with the one that's on Gracie, and we'll draw a token and find out which model it will target. Okay, it is going to target Gracie, so it'll stay where it is. The next one will target either Eli or Nash. Here is the token. That one's going to target Nash, so it'll stay where it is. Actually, I guess it would move in back of him, wouldn't it? Yep. And it will target Nash. All right, now we'll start their attacks, and we'll begin with the attack on Nash. It's going to roll 3 dice for the attack. And all 3 of those hit. It hits on a 3 or greater. So all 3 have hit Nash. He is going to have to defend 3 hits. He'll be using his defense value of 4. He managed to defend 1, so 2 are going to get through. And I think he is going to... I think he's going to use his Holy Charm. And that says discard this item to prevent all damage just done to you by demon or undead enemies. So that Hellbat is a demon keyword, so we can prevent all of the damage. I think that might be the best way to do this. So we've totally stopped that attack against Nash from the Hellbats. We'll move on now to the attack of the Hellbat on Gracie. All right, here's the Hellbat's attack on Gracie. And that has done a total of 2 hits to her. She is going to defend, and her defense is a 3+, and that's pretty good. Okay, here is the 2 dice defense. She defended both of those. That's great. So she's going to take no wound damage. But now she has to defend the sanity damage, the horror hits. 2 horror hits would also be associated with that. And this is going to be kind of tough. All right, she has a willpower of 4+. She defended one of them, but not the other. So that means 1 horror hit plus 1 will get through. That's a total of 2 sanity damage. And that's going to KO Gracie, unfortunately. So Gracie's model will come off the board, and we're going to place a KO'd hero marker there. That's too bad. Well, that's definitely too bad about Gracie going down. The only thing I can think of doing is try to take out these Hellbats and then have Nash maybe try to drag her into another tile, and then we can use those rules to help the KO'd hero recover. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. These Hungry Dead move at a speed of 2, so it's probably going to be pretty tall order. But that's going to finish the Hellbat's turn. We'll move on now to Nash himself. And he's going to, first of all, he has to roll for fear. And there's 2 models that have fear capability in front of him. So he'll have to roll willpower, and he'll have 2 dice to try to stop those. His willpower is 4. He stopped both of them, unbelievably. So we're good with that. Now Nash is going to roll for movement. He rolled a 3. I'm going to have Nash move back 1 space into the space with Gracie in the hope that maybe we can move her out at some point. And then he's going to launch his melee attack using his Indian hatchet. He has no grit. He does have heightened senses that will allow him to re-roll a 2-hit roll. All right, he'll make his attack, and we'll see what happens. He hits on a 4 or greater. He's got 2 hits. That is great. All right. 2 hits, and he's going to use his Indian Hatchet, gives him +1 damage. He is going to target that Hellbat. Hellbat has a defense of 2. So we got +1 damage. We got him. He's killed. That opens up a path for us to move at least, and we're going to earn 10 XP. All right, his next successful attack is going to go against that Hellbat, and we'll see if we can take that one out. +1 to damage. He rolled a 2. +1 is 3, minus 2 defense equals 1 damage, and that's enough to take the Hellbat out. He's killed that one. That is great, and he'll earn another 10 XP. And that was the last of the Hellbats, so we can remove that token from the initiative display. Won't be any more Hellbats at this point. And that is going to complete Nash's turn. Now Gracie is KO'd, so she won't be taking a turn. And now we'll move on now to Eli. Eli will activate. Now Eli is also going to be under that fear attack from the Hungry Dead, so he's taken 2 horror hits, and he'll have to defend against those. He has a willpower of 4. He's defended 1 of them, so 1 is going to get through, and he's going to take a total of 2 sanity damage. 1 for their normal horror hit, and +1 for the card. That's going to move him up to a total of 5 sanity damage out of a total of 10 sanity. All right, now Eli is going to roll for movement. And he rolled a 5. Now we could attempt to disengage from the Hungry Dead and and then maybe, I don't know, I'm going to think about that. Well, I think we'll attempt the escape. He's going to try to escape from the clutches of the Hungry Dead. They have an escape value of 4+, and Eli has an evasion ability which allows him to roll 2 dice for escape attempts and to take the highest roll. So we'll try that. So he's got a 5. He was able to escape, and he can move. So the problem is, if I pull him back, he won't be able to stay in melee combat. And then he would have to switch to his hunting rifle, which has only 1 shot, and because of the steam clouds, we'd be rolling only a 6 would be a hit. So I guess I have to stay where I am, and he'll have to make his melee attack, and hopefully we can start taking some of these things out. All right, he's going to make his melee attack. He has a reroll because of the rough-skin gloves. All right, here's the attack roll. He has 1 critical hit. That is great. And he'll use the rough-skin gloves and do a reroll on the 2-hit roll. He's got a 2nd hit. That is great. All right, we're going to apply the first one to that Hungry Dead right in front of him. And that means that it being a critical hit, it has no defense. 5 damage go through, and the Hungry Dead is killed, earning Eli 10 XP. All right, now the 2nd hit that he had is a standard hit, and he'll apply that to the other Hungry Dead. Now the Hungry Dead have a defense of 4, and we can't gain any additions to damage, so you'll just have to see what happens. Here's the roll. He rolled a 4. Minus the 4 is 0 hits. That's too bad. We have no way to increase that. Nope. All right, that is going to end Eli's activation, and we'll move on now to the Hungry Dead. Hungry Dead are going to, this one is already engaged with Eli. These we're going to have to pick a target. So we'll pick a target, and we'll make sure we remove Gracie from the equation because she's KO'd. All right, we'll see where that Hungry Dead is going to target. And I was sort of taking Gracie out. Okay. And he's going to target Nash. All right, so he is going to move 1, 2, targeting Nash. All right. Next one has no option other than to target Eli. And these other ones can only move 1, 2 spaces. That's the best they can do. All right, they're going to make their attacks. We'll begin with the 2 attacks on Eli. Hungry Dead have a combat value of 1, but they do 3 damage. Now his cigar is still active. He used that earlier in the turn. Here's the first attack on Eli. And that missed. That's a miss. The second attack on Eli. Hungry Dead hit on a 4+. That one missed. That's great. All right, both of those attacks missed. Now it'll be the Hungry Dead attack on Nash. That one hit. So 3 damage go through to Nash. He's going to have to see if he can defend against that 1 hit. He has a defense value of 4. And it does say that his heightened senses, he can re-roll a defense roll. I don't remember if I used those heightened senses for I think I did. Yeah, so here is his defense roll. And he failed. So we're going to get a total of 3 damage for the Hungry Dead plus 1 horror hit. That's 4 damage are going to go through onto Nash. Well, this is important enough. I'm going to have to go back in the video and see if I did use Nash's heightened senses earlier. All right, I went back in the video and Nash did not use his heightened senses, so he's going to be able to make a reroll on the defense roll. And this is kind of important because this is going to KO him if he misses it. Okay, here's the roll. And he did it. He's got a 4, so that's going to stop all of the wounds that would get, the health damage that would get through. He still has to make a check on the sanity damage, though. I'm sorry, he does not have to worry about the sanity damage. That only applied to the Hellbats. I forgot about that. So he is good. He has lost no health for that. And that's going to complete the Hungry Dead activation. We'll move on to the corpse pile. There's 1 corpse pile left, and that is going to roll to see if it spawns another Hungry Dead. Here's the roll. And it will. So we'll place another Hungry Dead there, and that's going to complete the activation phase. We'll move on to a Hold Back the Darkness roll. And here's the roll. And we roll double 3s. That's going to be a mine event. And that's a depth event, Creeping Darkness. The darkness is always searching for a way out. Move the darkness 2 steps forward on the depth track. All right, that's going to move it from 5, 6 to 7, and a Growing Dread card is going to come out. And the Growing Dread card is Dread. You shudder to think of what lay before you. Move the darkness 1 step forward on the depth track. That's going to move it up to 8. And that's going to set off a darkness card now. Oh boy. And the darkness card is Eruption of the Dead. Darkness attack undead. Bursting through the surface below, a horde of Hungry Dead surround you. Ambush attack with 2 peril die of Hungry Dead. Well, I think that's pretty much going to end this mission for all intents and purposes. We'll find out how many Hungry Dead are going to come out. I don't think it's going to matter much. Total of 8. All right, well, we don't have enough models of the Hungry Dead to place those out, so that means that all of the remaining models are going to gain an elite capability. We'll make a roll for that. That's a 6 and they are going to gain the elite ability Rotten Evil. Hungry Dead are now Fear 2. All right. So we would mark them with an Elite 6 marker. That cigar is gone now. And there's just no way we're going to be able to do this. The posse has very little health and sanity left. I think we are going to end up probably having to flee the mine. Oh boy, if it was a cascade of events that happened when we set off that Growing Dread card with the mine event, that led to the Darkness card, which led to, this double peril die of Hungry Die in an ambush. So that just killed us right there. All right, we're going to move then to our activation, starting with Nash, and we're going to flee the mine. All right, so I'm going to clean up the table, and I'll get us ready for the rolls that we'll need to resolve fleeing the mine. All right, the surviving posse members have managed to drag Gracie out of the mine, and they've returned to their temporary encampment where the horses are. And now we're going to have to go through our healing at the end of the mission phase. My campaign rules 12.051 read, at the conclusion of each mission, whether successful or failed, each surviving hero is allowed to heal D6 wounds or sanity, any mix, and reset their grit to 1. Any applicable side bag tokens may be used at this time as well. Each KO'd hero may also recover 2d6 wounds or sanity, any mix, and reset grit to 1, but must roll on the injury or madness chart per the standard rules. All right. We'll begin with Nash, and he's going to make a d6 roll, and he'll be able to recover that much wounds or sanity damage. And he rolls a 3. All right, I think he is going to recover 2 sanity. And, well, his wounds are actually worth. We'll take 2 wounds and 1 sanity damage. He'll recover that, along with a grit token. Gain a grit token. And that will be it for him. He does have a whiskey bottle. I suppose I could use that. We can use any items that we have available to us. He'll use the whiskey bottle. That'll heal D6 sanity damage. Rolled a 1, so we'll heal the sanity. That's going to leave him with 2 wounds and 3 sanity damage. All right, we'll move on now to Eli. Eli will get a d6 roll for healing. And that's a cocked die. He rolled a 1, so Eli will heal 1 point of sanity damage, bringing him to a level of 2 wounds and 4 sanity damage out of 14. All right. He's also going to recover 1 grit, and then because of his home remedies, he starts, whenever he's allowed to gain grit, he gets 1 extra than normal. So he will start with 2 grit. So we'll give him 2 grit. And now, Gracie. Gracie is going to recover. And she stands up and she's able to heal 2d6 value of either wounds or sanity damage. She rolled a 5, so she'll heal, I guess, 5 sanity damage. That will be, she'll be carrying 7 sanity damage and 2 wounds presently. She'll recover 1 grit. And now she's going to have to make a roll on the madness chart. Yeah, one of the cards that we drew during the adventure was the Great Devourer. It says any KO'd hero during the remainder of this adventure only rolls a single d8 on the injury madness table instead of 2d6. Now, that is not going to be good because 1 or 2 is lost to darkness. And that means that Gracie is going to be considered dead. So that's not good. We'll make the roll and see what happens. She rolled a 5. It's coming for you. How does it know your name? You can hear it calling you in the dark. What does it want? Whenever the hold back the darkness roll is failed, including doubles that would fail, you take D3 sanity damage, ignoring willpower saves. Oh boy, yeah, she's going to have to try to get that cured, there's no doubt about that. We're going to mark her then with It's Coming for You. And the posse ended up with 225 XP, and if we divide that up equally amongst the three of them, that'll be a total of 75 XP for each of them. Believe it or not, we didn't take any gold out of the mine at all. All right, so we'll give each of the heroes 75 XP, and then the only thing left now is I have to make rolls for Eli's Darkstone. All right, Eli has a total of 5 Darkstone, which he ended up getting from the mutant bandito on the overland travel. So he'll have to roll a die for each of those on a 1, 2, or 3. He's going to take a corruption hit, of which we can use our willpower to save against. So we'll roll 5 dice and see what happens. All right, 3 of the dice will force him to take corruption points. So he's going to end up making a willpower roll for the 3, and we'll see how many of those he can prevent. His willpower is a 4. He stopped one of them, so he's going to take 2 corruption points. So we're going to mark Eli with 2 corruption, and that's going to end the mission. And the failure conditions for the mission are, if the mission is failed, the creatures that the posse have disturbed are unleashed from their subterranean chambers and they ravage the countryside. D3 buildings in the town of Masthead are destroyed by the creatures. We're going to mark that down on the town sheet for Masthead, and then if and when we go there, we will account for that. In addition, the newspapers report that a wagon train of settlers has been found on a trail between Masthead and Fort Burke. The bodies of 4 families, 16 men, women, and children, are found near the upturned wagons in an almost unrecognizable state. The news of the carnage devastates the members of the posse. Each hero takes 2d3 sanity damage from the guilt of what they have unleashed on the innocent. All right, I've returned the posse to the campaign map, and they're going to have to make their long ride back to Last Chance if they want to try to sell that Darkstone to Dr. Gruber. He can sell it technically anywhere, but we'll probably try to do that. And in the meantime, we may visit Masthead and see the damage that might have been inflicted from the failure of the mission. All right, we're going to end the video here, and I would invite you to join us back for episode 4 as the posse makes their way back from their first defeat, and we'll see if they can regroup and undertake another mission. Thanks so much for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and we'll see you again next time. Have a nice evening.